Hello all, and thank you all for subscribing, watching, and your patience, because last month in my Captain America the Winter Soldier review, I said, hey, let's do a Q&A. We're going to celebrate 500,000 subscribers, and it's been a month since then. But I've looked them over, and I, to be honest with you, won't get to all of the questions. There were thousands of questions on that video, but I picked the ones that I thought were the best questions, and the ones that people were giving a lot of thumbs up to, and the ones that people asked multiple times. So hopefully this encompasses all you guys wanted to know about me. And yes, I am surrounded by my favorite things in life. The Killing Joke Joker right over here, and the last 5 minutes of The Amazing Spider-Man 2 over there. And I'm going to divide this into 2 videos, actually, because when videos ramble on for too long, it just freaks me out. So, alright, 2 videos it is. Alright, let's start this Q&A. Let's get to know each other a little bit more. What's the strangest film you've seen? That's a really good question, because I've seen some really weird shit. But weird as in, I mean, comedies can be weird, drama can be weird, but the weirdest movie I'd say has got to be Freddy Got Fingered with Tom Green. I walked out of that movie going, holy shit, I think I'm dumber. I think I'm actually dumber. The movie knows it, because at the end this guy's holding a sign saying, when's this fucking movie gonna end, or something like that. So the movie knows it's dumb, but it's actually dumb. It doesn't succeed in making fun of the fact that it's dumb. It's just really stupid. What's the creepiest moment in movies, games, TV for you? I don't know if this is the creepiest for movies, but Sinister was up there for me. You know, that movie creeped me out. But there was something about the fact that when he found out that dude was in all the footage, and the watchers, us, the viewers, we saw him, but we didn't know we saw him. That creeps me out when something kind of just slips under my radar and he's in plain sight and I didn't see him. That creeps me out. Games, gotta be Resident Evil when the dog busts through the window, freaked me out as a kid. TV is usually not that creepy for me. How was your high school experience? 9th grade, I was average. 10th grade, I skipped school so much, it baffles me. I was like, I'm gonna fail. I'm gonna fail 10th grade. In fact, after 10th grade, if I passed every class, I'd be 2 full credits shy of graduating. So I went to summer school. Junior year and senior year, I cracked down, busted my ass, and graduated on time with all my credits. It actually kind of taught me how to focus myself in terms of personal relations. Yeah, I was a nerd. How do you think it went? It was terrible. How many of these have you done with no pants on? I assume you mean videos, so 2. I think it was 2. Every video that I have not had pants on in, I have said I don't have pants on in, and so I think that's 2. That's me. I'm honest to a fault. That's just how I roll. Q, have you ever gotten recognized at the movie theater? Yeah, I've been recognized in like movie theaters and the malls. It's always fun. I always like meeting fans, but one in particular, it was at World's End. I got recognized by a group of fans who were like, Jeremy Jahns, can I sit next to you in the movie? I was like, sure. So they sat next to me in the movie and they got to watch a movie with me, I guess, which is funny because I don't talk in movies, so they just really got to watch a movie, and I could have been anybody or not there at all. It would have made no difference to them, but apparently it did. So that was always fun. That was cool. They were cool people. How do you deal with negative criticisms of your reviews? Negative criticisms, you don't. You just go, oh, okay, they didn't like me, or they don't like it, or they're just being trolls, or whatever. You move on. Have you ever drastically changed your opinion about a movie / TV series after taking a second look? Kind of, not like so drastically where it goes from positive to negative or negative to positive. If I give a movie a positive review, it's still positive when I think about it or I watch it a second time. If I say it's a negative review, it's still negative. It might fluctuate a little bit, but it's always, you know, it's good and you should watch it, or it's not and you shouldn't, and that stays consistent. One of them's like 21 Jump Street is a good example. I said it's a good time, no alcohol required. It's actually, I would say buy it on Blu-ray now, you know? So it's like that little, it goes a tick up or a tick down, but never crosses the, oh, I loved it. Actually, it sucks. It's not like that. Question, why do you always hit me in the face after a video? Why you do this, Jeremy? I was actually gonna breeze right over this one, but it's actually, there's a story to it. You know, my old videos, I used to end the video with me going, I ain't fucking around. And then when I switched it from Movie Man 191 to Jeremy Jahns, I was like, all right, what would I change now? And so I got rid of the I ain't fucking around thing, simply because I described it to someone like, if I have to scream I ain't fucking around at the end of every video, it's almost like that person that has to say something so much, you're like, do you not believe it? So I'd rather just show people I am not fucking around by being honest. So I got rid of that. And I was like, well, I need something at the end. So in the meantime, I'll just, you know, punch the screen and then I'll think of something. And then it just kind of became a thing and it became iconic. And so I was like, well, I can't change it now. That's why I punch you in the face. What novels do you want to see adapted into film? That's a really good question. I haven't read it, but I heard the Deathgate cycle is just one of the greatest things ever, so I'd like to see that get adapted. In terms of graphic novel, I think Death of the Family in the DC New 52, that's a, If you're a Joker fan, you need to watch, or read, rather, Death of the Family. Death of the Family blew my mind. A couple times I was like, I feel ill. Like, I feel bad for loving the Joker as much as I do. What's your day job? I'm always curious about a YouTuber's day job and whether their coworkers have seen their channel. Actually, my day job is this. I do YouTube videos. I used to, all right, if you want the story of my work history, I worked at a movie theater as a projectionist. Then I quit that and I became a retail manager, and I suck at it. I realized to be a retail manager, at least in this company, you had to be a dick. And I just wasn't a dick, so I quit that. I went back to being a projectionist at a different company, and I liked that company. The first company I hated to death, and the second company I really liked. They were a smaller company, so they were, you know, human. And I was a projectionist there, and that's actually how I saw the movies early. And everyone there, the managers, the CEO, they were all like, I like your channel, and I want it to grow. I know eventually you'll quit. But we love you and we want to see you succeed, and so they're still very cool. I'm on good terms with them, and I one day went to them and I was like, I don't need to work here anymore. And that's that. So we're all cool and they're cool, and so that was my job. Mainly projectionist. Don't ever be a retail manager because you'll hate yourself. What computer games do you think would make great movies? I'm sure whatever game gets put into movie form, it's going to be completely ruined, but I would like to see a really good, no, I'd like to see a great Metal Gear Solid movie or a Metal Gear movie. Just any section of that world. I'd like to see Snake go up against Big Boss or Solid Snake go up against Liquid Snake. I'd like to see a Metal Gear Solid movie. Or a Metal Gear movie. Do you smoke? Just say either yes or no. No. Will you ever do gaming videos? I imagine you mean like, well, I play the game and you can see what I'm doing and we just go through the game and I do commentary while I'm doing it. I'm not sure, because if you remember, about December, January, YouTube was on this crazy gaming channel witch hunt, and that looks like it went away. I don't know if it's completely gone though, so I might. I'm not removing the possibility. I'll just have to see where it goes. I need to see what feels safe enough to do. So we'll see. Why do you think watching movies benefits people? I think that if you have a shitty aspect of life that you just don't like and you want to escape, movies are a great escape. That's why in the Great Depression, people went to the movie theaters. That's why the movie business didn't actually suffer as much as the rest of the world, because it was a great escape for people. So it can. But it also can't. So it's just relative. It depends on the person. It depends on the movie. Do you know who Roger Ebert is? And if so, do you consider him inspirational at all? This, I feel like I need to tread lightly because I don't want to speak ill of the dead. Roger Ebert, he was, you know, this very revolutionary film critic. You know, he was like one of the big, he was the first, like, I feel like he was the first celebrity film critic. He's passed on now. Did I consider him inspirational? I watched his show when it was Siskel and Ebert, and then Ebert and Roper. But what I noticed is I didn't agree with them a lot of the times at all. And I was like, why don't I agree with movie critics? And so at a point when I started doing this as a hobby, it became a thing. And then I was like, I feel like I might be able, bear with me on this, to be that reviewer. I don't like the word critic, but I guess technically it's what I am. That critic that people can be like, that's the one because I'm a human being and I'm normal and I relate to that guy. I never really had that, so I'd like to hope that I bring that to other people. In that Roger Ebert inspired me as much as Michael Bay did to do my videos. But no, I don't find a kindred spirit in him, if that's what you're asking. I like the guy. I'm sure he's a swell fellow, but not the way you would want me to think he is. I'm not gonna, that's why I didn't do a video about his death. I'm not like, Roger Ebert, you were so inspirational to me, because he really wasn't. Jeremy Johns, I'm also a huge movie geek and I've thought about starting a blog and vlog channel. Any tips on getting started? This is gonna sound really generic, but my tips would be, have fun with it. Try not to make it your job. Like, do it for a hobby. Don't do it because you're like, I want to get income and quit my job and that'll be that. Do it because you feel it's fun. So sometimes you're going to see something and be like, I should talk about that, but I might hold back because I want to relax today. So if you burn yourself out, it's going to be competitive. You want to get your information up first. I get that. But if you do it too much for too long without rest, then it's going to feel like a job and you're going to burn yourself out and you're not going to do it anymore. When you're doing it, if you do it audio or audio and video, whatever you make, think to yourself, if I wasn't in it, would I watch this or listen to it? If the answer is yes, you probably did something right, so keep doing that. If you were threatened at gunpoint and given a choice between watching Birdemic, Batman and Robin, The Last Airbender, After Earth, or Dragon Ball Evolution, which would you pick? Sorry, dying is not an option. Well, that's kind of dick, because dying is always an option in things like that. But if I had to pick one, I would pick Batman and Robin, because it's at least so cheesy and terribly bad. Like, the thing killed a complete franchise and all the characters in it, but there's some morbid piece of enjoyment out of the fact that it's so terrible, it's kind of funny. Here's a question for you, Jeremy. Since most of your views watch your videos on mobile devices, do you ever think where someone is watching your videos? Oh, that would be viewers, sir. And if you haven't watched a YouTube video while taking a shit, you haven't lived. What's the best and worst movie you have ever seen? Plus, congrats on 500,000 subs. Well, thank you very much. The best and worst. Well, I mean, you know my favorite movie is, my favorite movies are Lord of the Rings. If I had to pick a single movie though, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go outside Lord of the Rings for a second. Empire Strikes Back is one of those movies that just gets better the more I watch it and the older I get. That is counted as one of the best. It's hard to pick a best. Shit, Lord of the Rings trilogy. Worst, probably Battlefield Earth, which is a funny story. My uncle was coming out of Gladiator, and my brother and I were going to watch Battlefield Earth in the movie theater, and we're like, John, come on, sneak in with us. So he went from Gladiator straight into Battlefield Earth. I don't think he's forgiven me, ever. Do you have one particular movie that really cemented your passion for films? It's funny, I had to really think about this one. What's the earliest movie that I walked out of going, that wasn't a movie, that was an experience, that was church? The one I can think of off the top of my head after thinking about it a long time, which actually isn't the top of my head. Moments like that are why I do jump cuts, in case you're wondering. Jurassic Park. I saw Jurassic Park and I was like, holy shit, because I was a kid, I loved dinosaurs, and they were real now. And so I watched Jurassic Park a few times in the movie theater. I just remember it had the coolest sound. The T-Rex, when he roared, just blew my teeth out. I have no words to describe the first time I saw Jurassic Park. I just remember I loved everything about it and collected all the McDonald's cups. What was it like meeting Nathan Fillion? I was so nervous. And I'm sure I came across to him as boring. I was probably forgettable. He was like, whatever, this asshole is one in a million. Just idiots like him interview me all the time. He's nothing special, because I had to contain my fanboyism. I was like, all right, don't wear your Firefly shirt and go there and be a professional. And I had to, my friend who was there operating the cameras and the sound equipment, I was like, hey, Adam, want to meet Nathan Fillion and Clark Gregg? He was like, yeah. I was like, can you drive? Because I really need to get into like mode and think about the questions and write them down. So you can see the interview. I drink a lot of that water in front of me because I'm fucking nervous. It was really cool though. He's an awesome guy. Like, it's cool to see people that are your entertainment icons and idols or whatever, and when they're good human beings, you feel at ease. You're like, oh, you're cool. All right, now I can sleep better at night. What is your favorite game of all time? All right, I would say there's a lot out there that I like, but there's only one that I've inked my body with. So here is your answer. And if you don't know what it is, don't worry, I'll tell you. But I'm gonna flex also because I need to make it look impressive. But there it is right there. That's Legacy of Kain. And I was a huge Legacy of Kain fan. I still am a huge Legacy of Kain fan. Amy Hennig took the reins of that story, and she's the one who ended up really taking the reins of Uncharted. She created Uncharted, and she is a really good storyteller, and all the dialogue in her games it's just well written. Legacy of Kain ultimately is a vampire story when vampires were still badass and they weren't, there to make chicks horny. I need to put this on because I need to look cool again, but yeah, Legacy of Kain. It's one of the greats, and I'd like to see a resolution to that story. I'd like to see it wrap up because there's no real ending. So even if they do it in novel form, I'd like to see an end to Legacy of Kain one day. Can you review more video games? I'd like to, but here's the thing with video games. I'm a one-man show here. It's just me and my camera and my sound things and my lights and my editing, and I do it all. So if I was to review a game, it'd be me doing it. And movies, you're in and out, 2 hours, done. Games, they take a long time to do. And so when I'm playing a game, it locks me up doing that for a few days. I'm not one of those people who can fly through a game in a day. So I'd like to do more games, but it is just noticeably more time consuming. But Yes. If you could reboot an old show or movie from your childhood, even if it's already been rebooted, what would it be? Funny thing about that, my answer to that would be Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, which I guess they're turning into a movie. Because the way I see it, I told my friend, I was like, dude, that could be X-Men meets Pacific Rim. How is that not awesome if it's done well? I mean, the first one, you could have them all come together and be great. And this next one, you can do the Green Ranger saga. If it's, movies we're talking, that could be really cool. I'd like to see that happen. Now that it's happening, I'd like to see how they do it. So that or a proper Ninja Turtles. What editing software do you use for your intro? I didn't make my intro. My intro was actually made by a fan of mine. All of my intros have been made by fans of mine. For editing though, for editing my videos, it's Adobe Premiere Pro CS5. If you guys are wondering. Do you want to be a reviewer indefinitely, or is this more of a temporary hobby for you? I got to quit my job because I made enough on YouTube to talk about movies, something I did anyway with my friends. I still do with my friends. So really, yeah, it's a hobby that I do for fun. I have no reason to want to give that up now. What's your favorite porn site? I like to see how creative I can get with Google Images. A question about your trademark, the red gradient background, which is sometimes blue, rarely. How did you come up with this idea? Is there any reason behind it? Winky face. I mean, red seemed the thing to do. At first, I wanted to roast shitty movies, so I was like, red, it's angry, and it's there, and it's just in your face. It just makes you angrier when you see it. So I did it, and then it just kind of became a staple. And when I reviewed trailers, I wanted it to look different. So usually when I'm reviewing movie trailers or talking about something movie news related that isn't a movie or game review, it'll be blue. So you can differentiate. I'm a color scheme kind of person, I guess. But if it's a movie review, red because I wanted it to look angry. Now I don't necessarily want it to look angry, but it's just iconic. It's my thing. I've been doing it for a few years now. Why change it? If it works, why change it? I like the red. Jeremy, do you have a favorite theme song from a movie? My favorite, shoot, that's tough, but the Jurassic Park theme song is pretty up there. Star Wars is probably the most iconic of all time, but Jurassic Park is very good. But if you're talking words, vocals, Circle of Life from The Lion King, how is The Lion King not one of the coolest movies ever? Love your videos, Jeremy, and congrats on 500K. I have to ask, do you own just one suit or do you have a whole bunch of them lying around? I have a few of them. They're not just lying around. I have a couple of nice suits. I was like, I want nice suits. So I wore those at PAX. So if you saw anything relating to me in PAX of 2013, I'm wearing my nice suits in some of those. The blazers, I have a couple of those, just wear them for videos or if I'm just feeling like wearing the blazer. I like dressing nice. It's just a thing with me. How did you come up with your rating system? Well, people were asking me for a rating system. I usually don't like ratings because I'm like, ratings to me are a cheat sheet. It's like you give this whole review and then in the end, people need you to rate it for them, which ultimately always told me they didn't listen to the review. Like if you're listening to the review, you would know if the person likes it or hates it. But so I was like, well, if I'm going to do a rating system, it's going to be, sentence-based, so kind of sarcastic, so it's a one-sentence thing where where I'm coming from, which is kind of a cheap cop-out, but I just wanted to make it fun and interesting, so it's like my rating system. It's a rating system that I can get behind, so I just kind of made it sarcastically, like, here's your rating system, and so, again, people responded well to it, and they seem to like it. Some people have asked for a numerical rating system, in which case, no. What is a movie you think everyone should watch? Shit, that's The Lion King, like I said. What's your favorite color? Purple? Like the royal purple, like Joker purple? Yeah, that dude's purple. It's pretty good purple. It's pretty lavenderish, though, but I like dark purple. What's the best joke you've ever heard? Baby Seal walks into a club. Dude, can you talk without moving your hands and your arms? Try! I think you will fail. How boring is that? What if I did this? What if I sat here like this and talked like this all the time? And it would, no, I moved my head. Is that bad? Kind of, what if I did this? How statuesque. How boring is this shit? In the competitive world of YouTube, you think I'm not going to talk how I talk? I actually talk with my hands. When I talk to people, I talk like this shit. A couple people are like, I wish you had more energy, sarcastically, but that's just how I am. I talk with my hands. Deal with it. Where did the term awesome-tacular and all the other vocab from your rating system come from? I really don't know how I came up with awesome-tacular. I took awesome and spectacular and fused them together. The rest of my ratings I just came up with because would I buy it on Blu-ray? Yes. Is it a good time? Yes. How good? Well, I kind of got to be drunk for it. All right. Well, it's a good time if you're drunk. What's the opposite of that? Well, good time if you're sober and no alcohol required. So, I mean, I just came up with it because it just seemed the thing to do. That's how I see the world. But awesome-tacular. I know that in my Zombieland review, I said the zombie-tacular land of zombies, guns, and awesome. Somehow I feel like that's the prelude to Awesome-tacular. What do you think is the most overrated movie? Two that I can think of, this is probably gonna cost me a few people to go, fuck it, I'm out, this guy's a dick. But two movies that I watched and I was like, I don't get it, I don't get the hype, is The Hurt Locker. I watched it and I was like, big deal, he disarms bombs in Afghanistan, that's very cool. Is this the chick who did Point Break? Because she was more interesting when she did Point Break, even though that movie has terrible acting. But other than that, There Will Be Blood. I love Daniel Day-Lewis. I loved him in it. He's a good actor. But that movie bored me shitless. The soundtrack is locusts and air raid sirens. I don't get it either. I don't care. No. It's boring. Pancakes or waffles? Pancakes. Have you ever seen Pulp Fiction? Have you ever seen my review of Pulp Fiction? How much money do you spend on a monthly basis to see all these movies? No, usually none. Usually I can catch them at the movie theater I worked at, in which I can see them. I can screen them there. Because it's like I still work there, but I don't still work. It's a gray area thing, but they're very cool to me there. That or I screen them in Seattle at the screenings, so... Usually nothing. Some of them I miss, and I'll have to go track it down and spend $15 every couple months. So $15 every couple months. Don't hate me. What made you want to grab a camera, film yourself reviewing a movie, and post it on YouTube? And did you think it would go anywhere? I just liked talking about movies, and so I saw Transformers 2, and I was like, I didn't like that. I think I should talk about that, and I just ranted on camera about it. And then one thing led to another. People liked that, and they liked the next one, they liked the next one. Just went on from there. I thought it would go places. I didn't think it would go the places it's gone this fast, if that makes sense. Marvel or DC? Marvel for the movies, DC for the comics. It seems that you gained a lot of subscribers and popularity from your Mass Effect review way back when. Looking back now, is there anything you would have done differently or changed in that review? I believe you're talking about the Mass Effect 3 ending and why we hate it video. Funny you should say that, because yes, there is a part. It's tough for me to watch that video because there's one part, if I can just reach in there and pull it out, I would. And it's when I say, EA, you owe us a new ending. Give us another ending. There's something about the way I said you owe us. It sounds like I'm some entitled shithead sitting in his mom's basement. I don't live in my mom's basement, but it's what it looks like. It's like I'm on camera, safely behind my keyboard, going, you owe us this. It sounds very entitled. I don't like how it sounds. If I could take that part out, I would. I can't, so I just roll with it. And I mean, the video is fine as is. If it's like 98% great, cool. It's 98%. It's still awesome. But that is definitely the part I would take out. Everything else I would keep. Everything else is great in that video. How did you get started with YouTube, and what made you decide that this would work for your career? Thanks, hope you answer. In terms of the career part, what would make it work for a career? Just financially, when you make enough to replace the job you have, you just kind of do that. And there is the concept that that's a very fickle thing to be financially dependent on, but really there is no such thing as job security. I have worked retail management. I've worked in movie theaters. That's the basis of my work experience. Oh, I worked at one of those, I forgot about this. I worked at a cell phone company. I was one of those douchebags in the mall that would try to get you to buy a plan. I sucked at that job too, and they were going to can me because I don't upsell old ladies plans I don't need. But really, what is job security? It doesn't exist. Funny thing, this is a true story. When I went into the movie theater and said, hey, I don't need this job anymore, they asked the same question. Like, what if YouTube goes away? What if you don't make money about that, on that anymore? And then one of the movie theaters in that company ended up quitting. Or not quitting, but ended up getting shut down. And so I was just kind of like, go to them and tell them they had job security, you know? You can't. So it's as secure as anything, I suppose. Anyone can get canned. I've known people who have gotten fired who were fine workers, layoffs, whatever. So it works for me. How has becoming a movie reviewer impacted your regular movie experience? Do you ever go to a movie just to see a movie? Do you think you're more critical of movies now? I still have that part of my brain that lets me enjoy movies for the sake of enjoying them, but you definitely are more critical of them. You notice things, and you notice like, wait, that doesn't make sense. Why do you say that? And why wouldn't he? It's kind of a bummer, but it's real. Have you ever considered moving to California to try to physically bring yourself a little closer to filmmaking? Funny thing, I actually moved to California. I was there, I swear to God, for 1 month. I moved down there. I got an apartment, and I looked around, and I was like, this place is terrible. It's smoggy. The people are shit. I don't know why I left everyone I care about up in Washington. Screw this noise. I'm one of those people I can see down the road and go, all right, this is either going to work out this way or that way. And I was like, I can either move back now and just bite the bullet in the fact that I lost this money that it takes to move down to California, or I can try to stick it out, end up moving back anyway, and pay about 1 year's worth of rent in Los Angeles, California, which sucks ass. That'd be so expensive. So I thought I'll just bite the bullet and move back now. No, and this, again, we live in this technological wonderland of the internet, so there's no real need for me to be in Hollywood to do movie reviews. And if I wanted to be closer to filmmaking, if I wanted to be a filmmaker, then I'll reassess it. But for right now, no, Washington's rad. It works for me. Why are your first few reviews, the ones very difficult to find, very different in tone than your current, much more enjoyable reviews? Well, first of all, I'm glad you enjoy my reviews. Secondly, like I said, I wanted to really dig into movies and you'll roast them and tear them up if they were shit. But it's so negative, and you have so much negative energy you're putting out there. And I was always thinking about, like, what's the next video I'm going to do? How am I going to say it? What am I going to be like? How am I going to tear it apart? And it's just perpetual negativity all the time. And I found that I was just carrying it through into my life, and it was bleeding into my actual life. And I didn't want to be, it's exhausting being an asshole all the time. I'm telling you. So I was like, I don't want to do that. I just want to be me and have fun with movies that are fun and shit on movies that are shit. And that'll, we'll go. We'll see how it goes. We'll just say it how it is. And it's more enjoyable for me. It seems to be more enjoyable for you. So I'm glad we're all having a good time. Who's more badass, Batman or Thor? Well, Batman's the most badass of badasses, seriously. Thor he can call lightning, and he is badass, but there's something more badass about a guy who doesn't have powers. I know people always say that shit, but there really is something awesome about a guy who has no powers, who has the coolest villains in comic books. Batman is pretty badass. Congratulations, Jeremy, smiley face. Okay, so what did you major in? I assume you're talking about college. Here it is. Going to college. I never went to college. Are you kidding me? Going into debt to the point of suicide, never a thing I wanted to do. I remember in high school, they were like, what are you good at? I'm like, I'm good at talking and I like movies. What on earth is there for me to do? I think being a substitute teacher was one of the careers. On career day, you take this test and like, you'll be good at, I think it was working with disabled kids, honestly, as a substitute teacher or some shit. So I was credit to people who do that job. That is taxing. I couldn't do that though. So obviously, automatically, I was like, that test knows nothing about me because it's wrong. So I was holding out for that Dare to Be Great situation as I was a projectionist for many years until YouTube came around and I was like, hey, I'll do that. What are some of your favorite movies that you haven't talked about, and do you plan on talking about them and some other classics in the future? Speaking of the future, Back to the Future. Back to the Future and Indiana Jones are like the quintessential classics that I haven't talked about that I really should talk about. Hey Jeremy dude, love your videos. My question is, if you can hang out with any 3 people, they can either be dead or alive, who would they be and why? That's actually a really good question. If I could hang out with anyone throughout history, dead or alive, whoever, I would hang out with Jesus Christ, Buddha, and Muhammad. And we would all hang out and we'd have a good time. And when we did, I would film myself and put this on YouTube going, hey guys, these 3 are civilly hanging out and we're enjoying each other's company. So I'm pretty sure if they can do that, the followers of them can do that too. And that's who I'd hang out with and why. How are Gypsy and Danger doing? And can we see them? Lol, smiley face. Gypsy and Danger are my dogs. If you guys didn't know, I would name them. Yes, that's after Pacific Rim. Yeah, let's go see what they're doing. All right, we're among my living room, among all my really cool nerdy stuff right up there, but that's not why we're here. We're here for Gypsy and Danger. So there's Danger on the couch looking at me like I'm out of my mind. And here is the Gypsy. The Gypsy. Gypsy! Hi, Yips. Hi. Oh, now Danger's like, wait, what's this madness? Whoa, Danger, you're way too close, buddy. Yeah, they're good dogs. They're little mini Aussie Shepherds. This is Danger with a little skunk stripe on his head, and this Gypsy. Danger is all about the fetch. Gypsy doesn't give a shit. Danger, big time fetch dog. So yes, as I sit down and bid you my farewell, there were a lot of questions. I didn't expect the video to take this long, let alone realize that I was halfway through the questions. So I will do another Q&A video. I'll get that to you hopefully sooner than a month. But this is just the first half. There's another wave of questions coming. These guys are just devouring my arm now. Hi, Danger. He's like, now I want to be part of YouTube. Yeah, I'll get that to you guys. So thank you for 500,000 subscribers. Well, now it's like 500,000 and 250,000. But I appreciate everything. And Gypsy and Danger has one thing to say, which is, Danger, if you like what you've seen here and you want to see more, click right here to see more.